Hello friends. Before we start, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with where you're from and what time you're watching. That way, YouTube will keep showing you stories just like this one. Now, let's begin. My name is Calvin Reese, and I've been a long-haul trucker for almost 18 years. I've seen every corner of America from behind this windshield. The good, the bad, and the downright ugly. But what happened to me out on Interstate 93, that was something else entirely. It was the night I learned that not every vehicle on the road has a driver. This is the story I swore I'd never tell anyone. Because once you hear it, you'll never feel safe on the highway again. It was late, around 2:45 a.m., and I was hauling a refrigerated trailer of meat from Salt Lake City to Las Vegas. Standard run, nothing fancy. I had the radio low, coffee lukewarm in the cup holder, and a clear stretch of desert road ahead of me. That empty desert at night always gets to me. You feel like the only living thing left on the planet. The CB radio stayed mostly silent, except for occasional chatter from another driver named Redwood. He was a friendly guy, loud, confident, the kind who probably spent more time talking than sleeping. Then suddenly, he went quiet, completely silent. 10 long minutes passed with nothing but the hum of my diesel engine. Then came the piercing static, "Sss," followed by a whispering voice I didn't recognize. "You should have stayed behind." I froze. My spine turned to ice. That wasn't Redwood. Before I could reach the dial, the radio cut completely. Click. Dead silence. I swallowed, grabbed my coffee and told myself it was just atmospheric interference. Happens all the time in the desert. But then, headlights appeared in my mirrors. A 1968 black Dodge Charger, muscle car, loud engine under the hood, tailing me barely 10 feet behind. Too close. I tapped my brakes lightly. He stayed right on me. I flicked on my right indicator, signaling him to pass. He didn't. Instead, he flashed his high beams once, twice, 3 times, like a warning. Or maybe a threat. I grabbed the radio. "Breaker, breaker. Anybody got eyes on this asshole behind me? Car's practically kissing my trailer." Nothing. The channel stayed dead. The Charger pulled to the left, finally starting to pass. Only, when it drew beside my cab, I almost drove off the road, because there was no one inside, no driver, no passenger. The seats were empty. The wheel turned itself. I jerked the wheel, swerving slightly, heart in my throat. The Charger revved like a growling animal, then shot ahead and cut sharply into my lane. I slammed my brakes. My rig shook violently. And then, the Charger vanished into thin air. No taillights, no skid marks. Nothing. Just empty black highway stretching into the desert. I was alone again, or so I thought. I tried to calm myself, deep breaths, hands steady on the wheel. But every hair on my arm stood straight up. The temperature inside the cabin dropped. My breath fogged out in front of me. That didn't make sense. Trucks get warm. They stay warm. Then the lights flickered. Dashboard. Headlights. Everything. It was like the power was draining from my truck. Then, high beams behind me again. Bright. Blinding. The Charger was back. This time I didn't hesitate. I floored it. The truck roared forward, but the Charger kept up effortlessly, engine screaming like a demon unleashed. It swerved left and right behind me, like a predator trying to throw off its prey. I gripped the wheel, knuckles bone white. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it over the engine. The headlights behind me shifted, no longer circular. They twisted, stretched, like eyes. watching me. Not headlights. Eyes. My vision blurred, panic squeezing the air out of my lungs. Then, a voice right next to my ear. "You saw me." I nearly jumped out of my skin. I swerved again. This was no prank, no trick of the light. There was something alive in that car, and it wanted me. My CB crackled suddenly, loud and violent. Then Redwood's voice broke through. Driver ahead of me just, oh God, the car has no! Screaming, crashing metal. Then silence. I grabbed the mic with shaking hands. "Redwood! Redwood, come in!" Nothing. Whatever haunted that Charger, it had found someone else too. And now, I was next. The Charger rammed the back of my trailer, hard. The whole rig jackknifed left. I fought against the skid, shouting through clenched teeth, forcing the truck back under control. Another hit, harder. I checked my speed, 85 miles per hour. Too fast, too dangerous. But slowing down wasn't an option. Another slam. The trailer fish-tailed like a wild animal. The Charger pulled up alongside me again. This time, I forced myself to look. Inside the windshield, something pressed up against the glass. A face with no features, no eyes, no mouth. Just smooth gray skin pulsing like flesh, trying to become something recognizable. It turned toward me. Even without eyes, I could feel it staring into my soul. I screamed and swerved away, tires screeching. The Charger disappeared again, blinking out like a glitch in reality. I gasped for air, chest tight and burning. Every instinct screamed, "Get off this highway!" Up ahead, a single exit sign, greater than rest area, 1 mile. I didn't think. I took it. The ramp led into darkness so thick it swallowed my headlights. The rest area itself was old. Cracked pavement, rotting picnic tables, overflowing dumpsters, and no other vehicles in sight. Just silence. Dead silence. I parked and jumped out, legs barely working, heart hammering so hard I could feel it in my teeth. I dialed 911. No signal. Not even a single bar. Wind picked up, dry and bitter, whipping sand across the lot. I scanned the area, praying for another driver, a security officer, anyone. But instead, in the far corner, I saw the Charger. Parked, engine idling, headlights glowing faintly. Waiting. The passenger door slowly opened, like something crawled out. I grabbed the heavy steel crowbar I keep in the side toolbox. My legs shook as the door clicked open fully. Something stepped out. Tall, twisted. A humanoid shape wrapped in a dark, oily shadow. No footsteps. It just glided toward me. The closer it got, the colder I felt, like pieces of me were freezing from the inside. It stopped 10 feet away. Then it spoke, but not with a mouth. The awful words slid directly into my mind. "You drive the roads of the dead tonight." Blood pounded in my ears. I stumbled backward. The shadow raised a long arm, fingers stretching too far, bending wrong, and pointed toward my truck. I turned. The truck headlights turned on by themselves. Then the horn blared, one long scream of sound. I ran, jumped into the cab, locked the doors, engaged every light and throttle I had. The radio exploded with voices. "You shouldn't see us. This road is ours. You belong to me." I floored it, screaming, crying, the cab shaking violently. As I roared out of the rest area, the Charger materialized directly in front of me. I hit it dead on. The impact should have crushed metal, but instead, the Charger shattered into black smoke, spraying across the windshield like ink. But the smoke didn't blow away. It clung to the windshield, shaping into a skull-like face. I wiped at it with my sleeve. It stuck like tar. Then the tar moved, crawling, forming words across the glass. "Follow me," before I could even scream. The tar vanished, evaporating like heat vapor. There were no tire marks, no debris, nothing. Just more highway. And that awful presence still following me somewhere behind the dark. I don't remember driving the next 30 miles. Adrenaline took over. Survival autopilot. But when I hit lit highway again near the Nevada border, something in my chest loosened. Traffic appeared. Civilization. Lights. Life. I started to believe I had escaped. I was wrong, because when I checked my side mirror, the Charger was right beside my trailer, floating, wheels not touching the ground. Shadow arms burst out of its windows, clawing along the metal, leaving burning black scorch marks that hissed like fire meeting ice. It was done playing. It was going to kill me. The road curved ahead toward a small bridge. If I lost control here, I'd plunge into rocky ravine. The Charger rammed my front wheels. The truck lurched, the bridge railing approaching fast. I cried out, "Please, stop!" And impossibly, it did. The Charger halted midair, suspended, alive, watching. Then, the Phantom spoke one last time. "This was not your night, but I will be waiting." It dissolved, slowly, like smoke rising into a starless sky. Then it was gone. I pulled over on the other side of the bridge, shaking, crying, every muscle weak. Dispatch sent another driver to retrieve the trailer. I refused to get back in. Weeks passed before I drove again, and when I did, I avoided desert highways, especially late nights. But the real horror? A Nevada State Highway report was sent to my company. 2 fatal trucking accidents occurred last night, off I-93 near rest area mile marker 241. Both drivers claimed they were forced off the road by a black Dodge Charger. One of the names listed Redwood. I knew then, that thing wasn't gone. It was still out there, hunting. And every time I drive through the desert now, I watch my mirrors. Because one day, I know those headlights will return. And when they do, I don't think I'll get away again. My name is Ethan Cole, and I've been driving rigs across the American highways for over 15 years. I've seen snowstorms in Montana, thunder in Oklahoma, and deserts that stretch forever. But nothing I'd ever experienced prepared me for the night I pulled into that lonely way station on Route 66, a night that made me question reality itself. It was a Tuesday night, late, around 1:30 a.m. I was hauling a refrigerated trailer of electronics from Dallas to Phoenix, a routine 1,200-mile run. The radio played a soft, classic rock station, nothing special, and the highway stretched endlessly ahead, lit only by my headlights and the occasional blinking mile marker. I felt tired, that heavy, bone-weary kind of tired that hits after 12 hours behind the wheel. But I couldn't sleep. There was something about the emptiness of the highway at night that made my nerves tense, like the asphalt itself was watching. And then I saw it. From a distance, an old way station appeared, bathed in dim fluorescent light. The sign read, Route 66, Way Station, open 24/7. I glanced at my logs. My truck was slightly overweight by 300 pounds. A stop was required. Simple. Routine. But something about the place made my stomach tighten. The paint on the station's walls was chipped and faded. Rust climbed the metal pillars. The lights flickered lazily like a dying fluorescent heart. Not a single vehicle was inside. Not a single worker in sight. I shrugged it off. I needed to pull over anyway. I eased the rig into the lane, careful to align the trailer with the scale. I climbed down, boots hitting the cracked concrete. The door to the office was unlocked. That's when I noticed the desk lights were on. Low yellow light glowing through dusty windows. I pushed the door. The smell hit me first. Stale coffee, old paper, and something metallic, like blood. My throat tightened. I wanted to turn back, but I didn't. I walked inside. The room was empty. Not a single worker. Coffee cups, paperwork, and a partially open ledger lay scattered. Nothing else. I walked toward the counter. Then I saw it. Through the glass of the garage bay, I noticed a truck identical to mine. Same make, model, trailer. Even the license plate was eerily similar, except for one letter changed. I blinked, then rubbed my eyes. No, that couldn't be. I stepped closer to the window. The truck's headlights flickered on, alone, without anyone inside. No driver. No movement. Yet somehow, it idled, engine humming perfectly, as if it had been waiting for me. A chill ran down my spine. I took a step back. The CB radio on my belt clicked. Static. Then a faint whisper. "You shouldn't be here." I froze. I watched, paralyzed, as the truck, my truck, rolled forward on its own. Tires squealed, scraping the concrete, but it never hit the garage walls. It was precise, mechanical. Wrong. I swallowed, heart hammering. The whisper came again. We were waiting. I spun around. The office was still empty, but the air itself felt thick, like something was pressing on my chest. I stumbled back toward the door. The handle rattled in my hand. A cold voice spoke directly into my mind. "Come, deliver what you carry." I froze. I didn't even realize I was holding my keys. Then, the glass window rattled violently. My duplicate truck slammed against the garage door. No sound of metal bending, just a sickening hollow vibration through the concrete. The truck door opened by itself. The shadows inside shifted unnaturally, like something alive was perched in the seat. I ran. I jumped back into my truck, slamming the door. Heart hammering, hands sweaty, I started the engine. I tried to leave. I tried to ignore it. But as I pulled out of the station, my mirrors showed something I can't unsee. My truck, the same exact model, was now behind me on the highway. It moved impossibly fast, headlights burning, always keeping the same distance. No driver, no wheels spinning, just moving, following, waiting. I floored it. 60, 70, 80 miles per hour. The engine roared. I clutched the wheel with white knuckles. My CB crackled. "Greater than Ethan! Don't run. We're here." Static. A scream. Then silence. I was alone. Or so I thought. The highway curved toward an old desert bridge. Concrete cracked and broken in places. It was barely wide enough for one vehicle. The duplicate truck stayed in my mirrors. Silent. Watching. Taunting. I realized with horror, if I went over this bridge and if it followed me, I would die. Every instinct screamed stop, but my body froze. My eyes locked on the mirror. I couldn't look away. A gust of wind blew dust across the asphalt. The duplicate truck began to phase, front bumper elongating, headlights stretching into jagged shapes. It was no longer just a truck. It was something else. Something wrong. I slammed the brakes. My rig screeched. The duplicate truck stopped behind me instantly. Air shimmered around it, warping like heat above asphalt. Then a voice, not through the CB, not through the truck, but inside my head. "You are carrying what we want. Deliver it, or become part of the station." I realized. The trailer. The cargo. I hadn't questioned the contents. I was hauling electronics. Yes. But one crate, small, sealed, unmarked, had been placed in the corner of the trailer by the warehouse foreman. I hadn't even checked it. I understood. This crate was why the haunted truck was following me. "I don't know what's inside," I screamed aloud. The voice hissed, "It doesn't matter. It always does." I forced the truck forward, heart pounding, sweat running down my back. The highway narrowed. The desert cliffs rose on either side. The duplicate truck matched my every turn, its headlights burning like molten eyes. I looked for a way to shake it, a side road, a dirt ramp, anything. Then I saw it, a service road leading into a canyon. I veered sharply. Gravel flew. My trailer swayed. The duplicate followed. Closer. Closer. Faster. The road ended at the canyon edge. My trailer teetered. I could feel the cold void beneath. I slammed my door open, heart hammering, and reached for the flammable emergency canister I keep behind the seat. "If this is how it ends, then I'll end it too," I muttered. I hurled the canister at the ground behind me, near the duplicate truck's wheels. It exploded in a deafening roar. Flames erupted, sparks and black smoke consuming the asphalt. For a moment, impossibly, the duplicate truck froze. Its lights flickered, distorted. Then it screamed. Tires melting into black sludge, it wrenched violently and slammed into the canyon side. Silence followed. Absolute silence. I couldn't breathe. I sat frozen behind the wheel, shaking uncontrollably. Hours later, I drove the rig back to a safe highway. The way station? Gone. Nothing but cracked asphalt and the ghost of fluorescent lights flickering in my mind. No office, no truck, no duplicate, only the memory. I quit that route the next day. I don't even take I-66 anymore. But sometimes, in my mirrors at night, I swear I see headlights that move without wheels, waiting, watching, patient. And I know, one day, the truck will come back. Some trucks aren't just machines. Some highways aren't just roads. Some stops, like that old way station, are gateways. And sometimes, your own truck isn't yours anymore. I learned the hard way. Never ignore the cargo. Never ignore the road. And never, ever, stop at a lonely way station after midnight. My name is Jason Miller, and I've been hauling freight across the United States for over 16 years. I've seen storms that could rip trucks off the road, snow so heavy you couldn't see your own hood, and desert nights where the wind whispers secrets you don't want to hear. But nothing prepared me for the night I took that old stretch of highway through the Nevada desert. It was the kind of night that seemed ordinary at first. Clear skies, no traffic, the glow of my dashboard lighting the cab. I was hauling frozen goods from Las Vegas to Reno, a simple overnight trip that should have been uneventful. I had the radio low, coffee lukewarm, and mile markers clicking past my window like a metronome. But that night, the highway had other plans. I had just passed mile marker 112 when I saw it. A truck stop, or at least what looked like one. Dim lights glimmered in the distance, a lone beacon in the desert. I hadn't expected to see another building for miles. I figured a short break would be good. I was tired, and even seasoned truckers need to stretch sometimes. The sign read, Desert Ridge Truck Stop, open 24/7. I slowed down, steering toward the lot. As I got closer, I noticed something strange. There were no trucks in the lot. Not a single one. Just the faint glow of the neon sign flickering and a couple of dusty picnic tables scattered across the cracked asphalt. I shrugged, probably just a quiet night. I pulled in, parked near the way station scale, and climbed down to stretch my legs. The building itself was old, paint peeling, rust creeping up the metal siding. I pushed open the door and heard the creak of hinges echo in the empty room. Dust hung thick in the air, catching in the low fluorescent light. No one was behind the counter. No clatter of coffee mugs, no clerk's voice calling out. Just silence. Then I noticed it. A truck parked in the bay behind the glass doors. At first glance, it looked like a regular rig, but as I stepped closer, my blood ran cold. It was my truck. Same make, same model, same trailer, even the reflective strips on the sides identical. Only, something was off. No one was inside. The cab was empty, yet the engine hummed as if someone had just fired it up. I backed away, my heart pounding. Something told me to leave. My instinct screamed, but curiosity, or maybe stupidity, kept me rooted to the spot. The CB radio on my belt crackled, loud and clear. "Jason, don't go near it." I froze. That wasn't me talking. Not anyone I knew. Static filled my ears, followed by a faint whisper. "You shouldn't be here." I spun around. The office was still empty. My hands were shaking, my chest tight. The truck, my duplicate, started to move slowly toward the exit. Its headlights flickered, then burned bright, illuminating the cracked asphalt like twin torches. I ran to my truck, slammed the door, and locked it. Engine roaring, I tried to pull away, but the duplicate followed, perfectly matching my speed. I floored it. 80, 90 miles per hour. The desert blurred. My mirrors reflected the black rig that mirrored mine exactly. Then the CB crackled again. "You are carrying what we want. Deliver it." I realized what it was talking about. The crate in my trailer. One small, sealed box I hadn't questioned, placed there by the warehouse before I left. I had assumed it was electronics, like the rest, but that box had drawn this thing. This haunted version of my truck that moved without a driver. I tried to shake it. I took every turn, every curve, but it matched me perfectly. Like a shadow. A dark, metallic shadow. The highway curved toward a small desert bridge. Concrete cracked, railing rusted, barely wide enough for my rig. I slowed slightly, hoping to think. The duplicate truck appeared in my mirrors again, headlights glowing unnaturally bright. The engine didn't sound normal. It wasn't roaring. It was screaming, a high-pitched wail that rattled my teeth. The CB radio clicked once more. "Deliver it, or become part of the station." I realized with horror, if I didn't do what it wanted, it could kill me. The shadows around the truck stretched, limbs of metal and smoke creeping like claws across the asphalt. I gripped the wheel tighter than I ever had before, my pulse thundering in my ears. The bridge ended at a cliff. Below, the desert stretched endlessly. Above, the sky was clear, stars twinkling innocently, mocking me. The duplicate truck lurched forward. Its headlights became two spheres of molten white, intense and almost alive. I slammed the brakes. The rig skidded dangerously close to the edge. I remembered the emergency flammable canister behind my seat. With trembling hands, I grabbed it. The truck's shadow seemed to lean toward me, reaching, stretching, and I knew this was my only chance. I hurled the canister toward the duplicate trucks. Flames erupted, molten black smoke twisting and hissing, consuming the shadow truck's wheels. The rig wobbled violently. For a split second, the duplicate seemed frozen in place. Then, impossibly, it collapsed into itself. A molten heap of metal and smoke that dissolved into nothing. I sat on the edge of the bridge, shaken, trying to catch my breath. Hours later, when I called in my location, authorities found only my truck, intact. No signs of the duplicate. No evidence of the fire. The way station, gone. No building. No scale. Just the cracked asphalt. I quit that route. Never took I-66 again. But sometimes, at night, when the desert stretches endlessly, I swear I see headlights in the distance, moving without a driver, waiting for the next trucker who dares to stop at a lonely way station after midnight. The highway is alive, and sometimes it hunts. My name is Ryan Hayes, and I've been driving big rigs across the American highways for almost 20 years. I've faced blizzards in Colorado, tornado warnings in Oklahoma, and desert nights so still it felt like the world was holding its breath. But nothing prepared me for the night I took the I-15 through the Nevada desert, a night that still haunts me every time I close my eyes. It was Tuesday, around 2 a.m., and I was hauling refrigerated goods from Los Angeles to Salt Lake City. The road was empty, the sky clear, and the only sound was the hum of my truck's engine. I had the radio low, my coffee lukewarm, and mile markers counting down silently. The desert at night always gives me a strange feeling, a combination of freedom and isolation. You feel like the last person alive. I wasn't wrong. Not this night. Somewhere around mile marker 187, I saw it. A way station, faint lights glowing in the distance. Desert Ridge Truck Stop, the sign read. It was supposed to be open 24/7, but something felt off. The lights flickered unevenly. The building looked old, worn, almost abandoned. Still, my logs showed I was slightly overweight. I needed to stop. Routine. Simple. I pulled in slowly, my truck rattling on the cracked asphalt. Not a single truck was parked outside. The lot was empty, except for a few scattered traffic cones and debris blown by the desert wind. Inside, the office was dimly lit, fluorescent lights flickering. Dust particles floated in the air like tiny ghosts. No one was behind the counter. No clerk. No coffee brewing. Nothing. Then I noticed the truck in the garage. My truck. Identical. Same model, same trailer, even the reflective strips. Except the cab was empty. No driver. No one inside. Yet the engine hummed softly, as if waiting for me. I stepped closer, feeling a chill run down my spine. The CB radio crackled with static, then a faint, almost imperceptible whisper. "You shouldn't be here." I froze. The office was empty. My pulse pounded in my ears. The truck, my truck, moved forward on its own. Slowly, deliberately, rolling toward the exit. Headlights flickering. I ran back to my rig, slammed the door, and started the engine. As I pulled onto the highway, I checked my mirrors. There it was, the duplicate, following, perfectly matching my speed. No driver, no wheels spinning, just moving, alive, a shadow in metal form. I floored it, 80, 90 miles per hour. The desert blurred around me. My mirrors reflected the black rig chasing me. I tried the CB. "Anyone, I need help!" Only static answered. Then a voice, cold and distant, seemed to speak directly into my mind. "Deliver the cargo, or become part of the station." I realized the crate in my trailer. One small, unmarked box that I hadn't questioned before leaving the warehouse. This was what it wanted. The truck wanted that box. Panic surged. I swerved, took curves sharply, tried to lose it. Nothing worked. The duplicate stayed exactly behind me, headlights bright, engine screaming in a way that sounded almost human. Ahead, The highway curved toward a narrow desert bridge. Concrete cracked, the railing rusted, the drop beyond sheer and deep. I slowed, heart hammering, trying to think. The duplicate truck appeared in my mirrors again, headlights stretching like molten eyes. The engine's scream turned into a high-pitched wail. I gritted my teeth. There was no way to escape, only one choice: confront it. I reached behind my seat for the flammable canister, my hands shaking uncontrollably. The shadow truck loomed closer. The air felt heavy, suffocating, like someone pressed against my chest. I hurled the canister at the duplicate truck. It hit the asphalt with a deafening fwoom. Flames erupted, black smoke twisting, curling, consuming the metal. For a moment it froze, a black, writhing mass. Then with a horrifying shriek, it collapsed into itself, wheels melting into shadow, lights flickering, and finally dissolved into nothing. I sat there, frozen, chest heaving, hands trembling. Hours later, when authorities arrived after a passerby reported my truck abandoned on the bridge, they found nothing. No duplicate truck, no fire damage, no trace of the canister explosion. Just me and my truck. I quit that route the next day, haven't driven I-15 at night since. But even now, years later, whenever I see headlights approaching on an empty road, I feel that same dread. The highway is alive. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it hunts. And sometimes it delivers judgment in the form of a truck that should not exist. I learned the hard way. Never ignore the cargo, never ignore the road, and never stop at an abandoned way station after midnight. The box? I never opened it. I've avoided it ever since. And I think, deep down, it's still out there, waiting for the next driver foolish enough to pick up a load he shouldn't. My name is Colin Parker, and I've been hauling freight across America for nearly 20 years. I've driven through blizzards, rainstorms, desert heat, and lonely back roads. But nothing in all that time prepared me for the night I took Highway 50 through the Nevada desert. That night, the highway wasn't just empty, it was alive. It was Wednesday, around 1:45 a.m. I was hauling a refrigerated trailer loaded with produce from Los Angeles to Salt Lake City. Nothing unusual. The highway stretched before me, silent except for my engine's hum. I had the radio low, coffee lukewarm, and my eyes scanning for mile markers. I had driven this route dozens of times, but the desert has a way of making you feel like the last person on Earth. I had just passed mile marker 212 when I saw the faint glow of a way station up ahead. A rectangular sign flickered in the darkness. Greater than Silver Ridge Truck Stop, open 24/7. Normally, a 24/7 truck stop is a welcome sight, but this one, something felt off. The lights were dim, flickering unevenly. The paint was chipped, rust climbing the metal pillars. No trucks in the lot, nothing alive. I pulled in slowly. My truck rattled over cracked asphalt. The lot was empty except for a few traffic cones scattered across the concrete, blown by the desert wind. Inside, the office was dim, fluorescent lights flickering weakly. Dust hung in the air, illuminated by the low glow. Not a soul in sight. No clerk. No coffee. No noise except the faint hum of the overhead lights. And then I saw it. Through the glass of the garage bay there was a truck. My truck. Identical in every way. Same trailer, same markings, same license plate except for one letter. At first I laughed nervously. Must be a coincidence, I muttered. But then I noticed the cab was empty. No one inside. Yet the engine was running, humming softly, like it had been waiting for me. I stepped closer, a chill running down my spine. I couldn't explain why, but I felt a deep, instinctual dread. My CB radio crackled. Static. Then a faint whisper. Greater than, "You shouldn't be here." I froze. The office was empty. The truck, my truck, rolled forward on its own. Headlights flickered, then glowed bright, casting long, unnatural shadows. I ran back to my rig, slammed the door, and started the engine. As I pulled onto the highway, I looked in my mirrors. There it was, following, perfectly matching my speed. No driver. No wheels spinning, just moving, alive, a shadow in metal form. I floored it. 80, 90 miles per hour. The desert stretched endlessly around me. My mirrors reflected the black rig chasing me. I tried the CB. "Anyone, I need help!" Only static. Then a cold voice seemed to whisper directly into my mind. "Deliver the cargo, or become part of the station." I realized what it meant. One small, unmarked crate in my trailer, a package I hadn't even questioned, was the reason the haunted truck was following me. Panic surged. I swerved, took curves sharply, tried to lose it. Nothing worked. The duplicate stayed behind me, headlights bright, engine screaming in a way that sounded almost alive. Ahead, the highway curved toward a narrow desert bridge. Concrete cracked, railing rusted. The drop beyond sheer and deep. I slowed slightly, heart hammering, trying to think. The duplicate truck appeared in my mirrors again, headlights stretching into jagged, molten shapes. Its engine scream became a high-pitched wail, piercing my ears. I gritted my teeth. No way out except to confront it. I reached behind my seat for the flammable canister, hands shaking, heart pounding. The air around me felt heavy, suffocating. Shadows from the desert seemed to reach across the bridge, merging with the headlights behind me. I hurled the canister toward the duplicate truck. It hit the asphalt with a deafening whoom. Flames erupted, black smoke twisting around the truck like living tendrils. For a moment, it froze, a writhing, molten mass. Then, with a horrifying screech, it collapsed into itself, tires melting, lights flickering, finally dissolving into nothingness. I sat behind the wheel, shaking, chest heaving. Hours later, when authorities arrived, they found nothing. No duplicate truck. No fire damage. No trace of the canister. Just me, alone, with my rig. I quit that route the next day. Haven't driven Highway 50 at night since. But sometimes, when I see headlights on an empty road, I feel the same dread. The highway is alive. Sometimes it waits. Sometimes it hunts. And sometimes, it delivers judgment in the form of a truck that should not exist. I learned. Never ignore the cargo. Never ignore the road. Never stop at an abandoned way station after midnight. That crate? I never opened it. And I don't intend to. I know better now. Some deliveries are never meant to reach their destination. My name is Luke Sanders. I've been a long-haul truck driver for 18 years. I've crossed every lonely highway from Maine to California, and I always told myself one thing. There's nothing out here that can scare me anymore. But that was before Highway 93. Before the night I learned that some roads don't want you to leave alive. This happened in late October last year, when the air in Arizona turns sharp and cold after sunset, and the desert becomes a graveyard of bones and old secrets. I had picked up a refrigerated trailer from a warehouse near Phoenix, hauling produce up toward Reno. Normally, I love desert drives. Wide open, simple, predictable. You see every inch of road ahead. But that night, that illusion was taken from me. It was around 11:40 p.m. when the dispatcher radio crackled. Greater than drivers avoid the stretch past Kingman if you can. Reports of a reckless vehicle causing pileups. Hit and run, possibly stolen. Unknown license. Be alert. Warnings like that aren't rare. There are always idiots out there using isolated highways like racetracks. I looked at the clock, then at the desert road stretching into darkness. Stopping wasn't an option. I had a delivery deadline. So I pressed the pedal and kept rolling north. No cars ahead, no cars behind. Just the faint hum of my engine and the endless black. Miles drifted by in silence until far back in my mirror, headlights appeared. Nothing unusual, until they flashed. Once, twice, 3 times. Slow and controlled, like a signal. My gut tightened. Truckers know this rule. Flash equals warning. But what was he warning me about? I tapped my brakes gently to show I saw him. The headlights stayed far away, but they never stopped flashing. I leaned forward, eyes narrowed into the mirror. Whoever was back there was pacing me, matching my speed exactly. 10 minutes passed, still flashing, still perfectly distant. I sped up to 72. He sped up. I dropped to 60. He dropped too. That's when I first felt fear prickling at my neck. This wasn't a drunk driver. This was intentional. I grabbed my CB mic. To the vehicle behind me. You need something? You all right? Silence. Not even static. The CB was perfectly connected. I could hear other drivers hours away. But whoever was behind me wasn't answering. Another 5 miles. Still pacing. Still flashing. Then, without warning, the headlights vanished. Gone. No turnoff. No dip in the land. Just gone. I looked forward again, exhaled shakily. Maybe I imagined it, I whispered. But deep inside, I knew I hadn't. I often rest my right elbow against the passenger seat while driving, but when I did that, my hand brushed something cold. I jerked my arm back. Nothing there, just empty vinyl. I swallowed hard and laughed at myself. Get it together, Luke. But then, I saw headlights ahead. The same exact distance away as before. Same height, same spacing. The car that was behind me was now in front of me. There was no road to turn, no exit, no possible way around. And those headlights, they weren't bright like a modern vehicle. They were old halogen, that sickly yellow glow like you see in movies set in the 70s. I leaned closer, squinting into the dark. The car was a 1960s Dodge Charger, rusted, faded black. But that wasn't the disturbing part. The disturbing part was there was no driver inside. I thought maybe my eyes were playing tricks on me. The distance made it hard to tell. Then the Charger swerved, violently, right into my lane. I slammed on the brakes, my trailer fishtailing behind me. Coffee spilled. My heart pounded against my ribs. The Charger returned to center, calmly, like nothing had happened. I grabbed the horn and blasted it. Long. Loud. Hoom. No reaction. No movement inside. Just taillights. Dead red eyes staring back at me. I tried the CB again. Vehicle in front of me, respond. You're gonna cause a crash. Nothing. So I tried the emergency line. Highway Patrol. I have a severely reckless vehicle northbound on the 93. Black Charger. Classic model. No response from driver. Static. Then, copy that. Divert to nearest lit area if possible. Backup en route. Nearest lit area was 60 miles away. I was alone with this thing. The Charger began slowly creeping backward. At first I thought it was slowing down. Then I realized It was rolling toward me, in reverse. No front headlights to guide the driver, because there was no driver. I honked again, shouted curses at the windshield. Didn't matter. The Charger kept coming, perfectly straight. Not wobbling. Not correcting. Like it was pulled by a string. I did the only thing I could. I slammed the gas. My rig roared. Speed climbed. 65, 66, 67. I passed the Charger, blew by it like a freight train. I looked into my side mirror. It was gone again. Just open highway behind me. Too open. My heartbeat slowed. 10 minutes went by. I convinced myself to breathe normally again. Then, someone knocked on my passenger door. 3 slow taps, right next to me, while I was doing 70 miles an hour. Tap. Tap. Tap! I nearly threw the wheel. I shouted, "Who's there?" Voice cracking. Nothing outside. Nothing in the passenger seat, where that cold feeling had touched my elbow earlier. My knuckles were white around the steering wheel. "Okay," I whispered. "Once I reach the next truck stop, I'm done. I'm done." I promised myself that, swore it. But the night wasn't done with me yet. The land around me felt different now, not just empty, but aware. The moon was thin, its light weak across the open flats. Rocky hills jutted like spines. Cacti stood like silent sentries. Then my eyes caught something peculiar. Every few miles, a cross stood in the dirt. Roadside memorials. First one, then another. Then 5 clustered together. Then 10. Pictures of smiling faces on laminated sheets. Teddy bears, dead flowers. Victims. All along this same stretch of road. The same stretch where I was driving. My throat tightened. I turned the CB up. Anything to drown out my thoughts. A trucker voice came through. Gravel tone, wind noise behind him. "You on 93, driver?" "Yeah," I answered instantly. "You see any patrol?" A long silence. Then, "You need to get off that road. Before he gets you." My hands froze on the mic. "Who?" Static swallowed his answer. The channel went dead. I tried again. Nothing. I tried switching channels. All dead. Communication cut off. My chest tightened when a shape slowly formed ahead on the shoulder. A car. Broken down, maybe. But as I got closer, my heart nearly ruptured. It was the same Charger. Parked. Driver's door hanging open. I slowed, cautiously moving into the left lane. I leaned to see inside, but the car was empty. Like truly empty. No seats, no steering wheel, no dashboard. Just a hollow metal shell. A dead vehicle that should not be driving. I accelerated, hard. My brain raced even faster. How did it move without an engine? What knocked on my door? Why me? Questions, no answers. And then, those damn headlights lit up right behind me again. Those headlights burned into my mirrors like a predator's eyes. Too close. Way too close. I gritted my teeth and shoved the accelerator again. 80 miles per hour. Wind howling against the cab. The trailer swaying like a nervous animal. The Charger stayed glued behind me, not losing an inch. I tried to keep calm, focus on the road, but then my engine light flickered. Then oil pressure warning. Then battery fault. All at once, like the truck was dying from pure fear. No, 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 no. Not now, I muttered. Then the lights inside the cab cut out for half a second. Just half a second. But when they came back on, the Charger was gone. Again. Where the hell? Something slammed into the back of my trailer. The truck bucked forward. My coffee cup launched off the dash and exploded into the footwell. I looked in the mirror and nearly screamed. The Charger had rammed itself underneath my trailer, half lodged under the steel, its headlights punching up through the floor like a demon's grin. Then it jerked again, toward my tires. It was trying to flip me. I swerved left, violently, just to keep upright. The Charger peeled away like it was unharmed, drove through a cloud of dust, and then it vanished into thin air. Not slowed, not turned off, just gone. My rig could only take so much abuse. A loud bang cracked from under the hood. Steam blasted upward. The engine lost power, sputtering like a dying heartbeat. "Come on, baby, please," I begged, slapping the steering wheel. But she was done. I coasted onto the shoulder, gravel crunching, until everything fell silent. I cut the ignition. My breath fogged the inside of the glass. No music, no radio chatter, just desert night and the ticking of a cooling engine. I grabbed my flashlight, stepped outside, and instantly wished I hadn't. In front of my truck stood 20 or 30 roadside memorial crosses, way more than I saw earlier. I scanned them with the flashlight beam. Some had helmets, some had toy trucks, all had names. I knelt to read the closest one. Richard Ricky Hayes, 1972 to 1998. "We love you, Dad." My fingers trembled. Then I noticed fresh tire marks scratched through the dirt, leading from the road straight to these graves. Like something had dragged vehicles here, like I might be next. My survival instinct screamed, "Get back in the truck, lock the doors, now!" I hurried back, boots crunching, and jumped inside. Before the door closed, I heard it. A car engine. Right. Behind. Me. The Charger sat 50 yards back, engine purring low and deep. Its headlights flickered like a heartbeat trying to burst. My mouth dried to dust. Through the cracked front window, dust was rolling across the pavement. But somehow, the fog around that car didn't move. Like the air itself refused to touch it. I reached for the ignition, turned the key. The truck wouldn't even crank. That's when I grabbed the one thing in my cab that made me feel human. A Polaroid photo of my daughter, Karen. "I'm coming home," I promised her picture. "I'm not dying out here." But promises don't mean anything to the dead. The voice on the CB clicked alive. Not static, breathing. Slow, wet, right beside my ear. I froze. Then a voice, raspy and broken like burned vocal cords. "Get out! The truck!" I dropped the mic like it burned me. The headlights outside flared brighter. The voice came again, this time from under the floorboards. "Come! Walk! With us!" I yanked open the glove compartment, fumbling for my flare gun, hands shaking, vision spinning. The Charger revved its engine, a hollow scream echoing across the desert. I saw movement at the edges of the headlights, shapes standing near the crosses, silhouettes, dozens of them. They stepped forward into the faint moonlight. Truckers, men and women, their clothes torn, skin cracked like sun-baked clay, eyes empty, reflecting headlights that were no longer there. Their mouths opened, but no sound came out. Instead, the Charger's horn roared, a long, deep blast that shook dust off my windshield. The dead truckers pointed at me, demanding, claiming. My chest seized. "No, no, I'm not one of you." But the desert didn't care. The Charger launched forward, straight at my cab, full speed. I fired the flare gun through the windshield. Boom! The flare punched into the Charger's hood, exploding in a shower of sparks. Fire splashed over the metal, but the car kept coming. Flame didn't slow it, didn't even touch it. It passed through fire like fire was afraid of it. 30 feet, 20, 10. Impact. Glass exploded. My body slammed against the seat. The truck rocked violently, almost tipping. The Charger phased through the engine block like it wasn't made of matter. And in those seconds, I saw the driver. charred, burned into the seat, skin melted to the steering wheel, jaw frozen mid-scream. But his eyes locked on mine, eyes still alive, eyes begging for help, or begging to drag me down with him. He mouthed one word, greater than run. Then, the car passed fully through me and materialized behind my trailer. Brake lights glowed. It waited, like it wanted to chase me again, like this was a game, a hunt, and I was the next memorial cross. I forced the door open and sprinted. My boots tore across gravel, legs screaming, breath slicing like knives. I ran toward the only building I saw, a dusty old diner with a broken neon sign. Pearl's Roadside Cafe. The windows were dark, gas pumps rusted, no cars, no people. I didn't care. Shelter was shelter. Behind me, the Charger revved again, gearing up for another hit. I dove through the diner door just as the car skidded to a stop outside. I ducked behind the counter, breathing hard, hands raw, head pounding. Outside, the Charger idled, watching, waiting. The dead truckers stood along the highway, silent, facing the diner, like witnesses. I whispered to myself, "Please let someone be here. Please." And then, a light flicked on in the kitchen. A figure stepped out, but not a ghost, not a corpse, a woman, alive, her voice calm but urgent. "If you want to live, trucker, stay away from the windows." The woman stepped closer, wiping her hands on an old dish towel. Her name tag, faded but readable, said, Pearl. Her eyes, tired but sharp, studied me like she had seen 100 men walk in just like me, and not many walk back out. I pointed toward the windows, voice shaking. "That thing out there, the car, it's not human." Pearl nodded once. "I know." I swallowed hard. "What the hell is it?" Her gaze drifted toward the dark highway. "A mistake. A memory that won't die. Something the road refuses to forget." The Charger revved outside, a single loud roar, like it knew we were talking about it. Pearl lowered her voice. "Don't let the headlights touch you. That's how he marks his next victim." "Victim?" I repeated, throat tightening. Every cross out there is a trucker who got marked. My knees went weak. I leaned on the counter to stay standing. "Can I get inside?" Pearl hesitated. "Too long." "Not if we keep the lights off." She motioned for me to follow her into the kitchen. I hesitated. She whispered sharply, "Move!" I moved. Inside the kitchen, she rummaged through a drawer and pulled out a metal canister, the size of a thermos, with a peeling sticker that read, "Danger. Flammable." "You got a trucker radio on you?" I nodded, tapping the CB receiver still clipped to my belt. She leaned close. "If he gets you on a channel, if you hear him breathing, you throw this at the car and run. Don't look back." "Who is he?" I demanded. "Who's the driver?" Pearl's jaw clenched. "His name was Roy Calhoun, a trucker, like you." I stared, chest pounding. "What happened to him?" She exhaled, slow, like letting out ghosts. "He fell asleep behind the wheel in 1974, rolled his rig right over those rocks out there. Gas tank burst, and he burned alive. Car, body, everything." I pictured the charred face I'd seen a moment ago, stuck, melted, still screaming inside that Charger. "So why attack other truckers?" Pearl's eyes didn't blink. "Because Roy refuses to be the only one." Pearl guided me into a storage room. I almost vomited. The walls, covered in hundreds of Polaroid photos, all truckers, smiling, unaware. Names and dates written under each picture. Everyone had the same note. Marked by Roy. A thick dread crushed my lungs. Pearl touched one photo gently. A man in a flannel shirt, posing with his rig. My husband, he tried to warn others, thought he could break the curse. Her voice cracked just once. Roy burned him alive in his cab, same way Roy died. I stumbled back, shaking. Why the hell are you still here then? Pearl looked at me with hollow resignation. Someone has to warn the next driver. A boom rattled the front of the diner. Plates clanged. Coffee cups jumped. Pearl grabbed my arm and pulled me away from the open doorway. The Charger's headlights slid across the window, searching, hunting. Pearl whispered, "He can't enter, but he can make you go out." The CB on my belt clicked it on. Static. Then a voice, scorched and distant. "Luke." My blood froze. "Come. Back. To the road." Pearl snatched the radio and shoved it deep inside an industrial steel drawer. "Ignore him. He wants you to hear him. He needs you to obey." But I'd already heard. And somehow, the voice felt like it was inside my skull now. Another boom. The entire diner shuddered. The headlights intensified, glowing like furnace fire, pouring through dusty window blinds. I dropped to the floor as Pearl pushed over a heavy freezer to block the back door. The dead truckers were gathered outside, silhouettes outlined by that unholy light. Some were missing limbs, some were barely human anymore. But everyone stared straight at me. I whispered through tears, "Why me? Why tonight?" Pearl crouched next to me, voice trembling now too. Everyone chosen asks that. Everyone thinks it's random, but Roy doesn't pick at random. I turned to her, desperate. "Then how? Why?" She closed her eyes. "What's in your trailer, Luke?" I blinked, confused. "Produce. Frozen. I picked it up tonight." Pearl shook her head slowly. "Not what's on paper. What's really inside." My stomach nodded, because the truth was, when I picked up that load, the warehouse foreman had rushed me. No signature on the bill. No inspection allowed. I didn't question it. Deadlines mattered more. A sickening realization hit, greater than it's not food, is it? Pearl didn't need to answer. The CB exploded with static again. Louder now, closer. Headlights blasted through the windows, almost white now, not yellow, like burning magnesium. I covered my eyes, screaming from the heat. Pearl shoved something into my hand. Car keys. Old. Rusty. With a cracked plastic rabbit keychain. "Out back," she said. "There's an old tow truck. It runs." "Barely." I shook my head violently. "I'm not leaving you." She gripped my collar, forcing me to meet her eyes. "You don't have a choice. You were marked. If you stay, we both die." My heart shattered. But then, she pulled a shotgun from behind the counter. "Roy and I have an unfinished argument.